Excel into Python. Whether we have a CSV or a TXT or JSON or whatever the case may be, you can use Pandas to bring that data into Python to be able to perform different manipulation on the data or to load that into a graph or anything else. But first, we need to get that data into Python. So we're going to look at how to do that with Pandas. And in the specific case, we're going to take some data that we have from the UN. This is openly available on their website. I'll drop a link in the description of the video for where I got this data from. But you can see that it has estimates, and then it breaks it down into different geographical regions and then subregions, so on and so forth. And then we have a label here on the type of data that it is, whether it's a country, a region, or subregion. And then we have a parent code, who's the parent of that based off of the country code. And then we have populations based in thousands. So this is for the example of like North America, 172,000, so 172 million. And then we can see from 1950 all the way over to 2020, I think is our most recent data set, an estimate of what that population is. What we're going to do in Python in this video is we're going to bring this data in. We're going to get rid of a lot of the data we don't want, filter out a few different columns, filter out some of the rows, and kind of clean the data up. Kind of the first processing of data is just kind of getting what you want out of the file. So we're going to use Spider for this, kind of keep it super basic. And then in this case, we're going to import pandas as PD, pretty well the typical way that people bring that in. And then in that case, we are going to set up a variable called df for our data frame. We are going to set that equal to pd.read Excel. And then we are going to bring in a string of where that Excel is. In this case, I will check on my local machine in the users, PC, downloads. And then I'm gonna copy and paste that file name in here I left the name that came with the data set, and we'll import that. And then you can do all of this under a single variable. I could keep that df. A lot of times when I'm bringing data in, I always keep my raw data set as its own variable. That way, if I ever need to go back and see what's in the raw data, I can. So I'm going to create a new df, and it's just another variable, and we're going to set that equal to data that we're going to filter out of the data set here. So we will make that equal to df. And then we're going to pull some data out of the df dataset. And then we are going to make that where the type is equal to, and whenever we're going to do equals in Python, if we're checking for equals, not setting something equal to, we're going to use double equals. And then we're going to use the word region here. So we're going to look for the df dataset type, and then we're going to kind of bring all of that data together where it equals region, and we're going to set that to our new df. If we run this, we're probably going to get an error, and we'll see where that is. Let's see. Everything should be good there. The thing, whenever you're doing strings, a lot of times when you have a backslash something, it'll be an escape character. If you put an R before all of that, it'll basically say, hey, everything I'm giving you is a string of characters. You don't need to look for any escape characters or anything there. And we'll see what our next error is. So the one thing that is worth mentioning here, and we'll go ahead and check on this, is for Python to be able to open up our Excel files, we need OpenPixel, which is Python library to read and write Excel 2010. Really, we're just after the the XLSX type there. So we'll go back to our Spider, and then we're going to pip install, and then we'll grab that label and hit enter. And We already have that in there, so we should be able to run this. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing. Oh, one thing is on this raw data set, you'll see that the first 15 rows are all just kind of garbage that we don't need, and we really want to start this on row 16. So we are going to specify the header equal to 16 as a place to start. And we have that data set. So now, if we click on DF, we're going to see that really big data set where everything is in there. And once again, this is a really good reason to use Spider. You can just double click on that without having to print it. And it gives you a really good way to view that data. We can now see the new DF is filtered to just those regions. So we've already cleaned this up quite a bit, but we still have all the data from 1950 all the way to 2020. We may want to reduce that down a little bit. So in this case, we can do that by doing our new DF, and we're going to make that equal to the new DF. We're basically just using our own data, and we're going to open that up, and then we're going to type in the columns that we want. Now in this case, there is this really awful named column. We're just going to grab that name, and then we'll put that in quotes. Sometimes it'll want to throw those double quotes in there. You just need to either put your characters between that or backspace out of one of those. And then we will put our type. So we'll need to bring that in as type. And then if we wanted to bring in some columns such as 1950, we can do that. And then let's bring in the 2020 data set. So here we have our new DF, which has everything, and we're saying, hey, I want to filter out these columns, and then I'm going to store that over the new DF that already exists. So if we run this, I didn't put a comma in there. So now if we run this, we see that it worked. And if we double click on this, we can see that we've now filtered this down where instead of having 1950 all the way through 2020, we're able to bring this in and just say, hey, here are the two columns I want. We could also take that data and we're going to take our new DF and then we're going to add a column called variance. And then we're going to set that equal to the new DF 2020 minus our new DF 1950. And we should be good there. And then if I hit go, now I should have a third column. So here we're able to see here was our original population, here's the growth of the population, and then here is the change in population. Now these are in thousands, so Europe is 549 million versus the 549,000 it shows here. And we're able to see really quickly, we were able to take something that is very ugly and simplify that pretty quickly down to something that we would be able to use. Now, in this case, where we did the region only here, we could also, if we wanted to specify multiple things, just in case you ever want to filter and make it a little cleaner and you want multiple things and you want to know how to do that. In this case, we're going to open a parenthesis and then we will go to the end of that. And then we're going to put a vertical bar here. And then we're going to copy and paste this. And basically, we're just doing an OR command. And we're going to do region or sub-region. And then when we get to the end of that, we should be able to throw the close bracket in there and hit go again. May have missed something here there. So now we have the type equals region or the type equals subregion, and it ran successfully. And then if we look at this, now we can see that we have all the regions up top and then all of the subregions down below. And we're able to see not only for like Europe, but now we can see the Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, Western Europe, and Northern Europe. So we're able to break it down by the subregion as well as the region. If we wanted to filter to certain countries or anything, we would be able to either add an additional or change either one of the filters that we have here so far. That's going to be it for this video. Just super simple. How do we get data in from an Excel sheet? How do we then potentially set an offset for the headers? How do we filter to certain rows based off of column headers and what we want those values to be equal to? How can we then pick certain columns to be in our data? And if we wanted to do any math or clean any data up, how would we do that? And you can see that we added the column variance, and then we're able to do the math there and add that column very easily. If you do have any questions, comments, feel free to drop them in the comments section, and I'll follow up with you. Thank you so much.